there is nothing wrong with your television screens, I got a little sun this weekend. We're back, we're back, we're back! This week we're looking at Meant to Be by BeBe Rexha featuring Florida Georgia Line. So much fun to say. Meant to Be by BeBe, Be by BeBe, Be by... How many people have posted Instagram stories of themselves singing along, reaching for the high notes, really feeling the message? Meant to be, it'll be, it'll be. I get it! It feels so good to sing along. These kind of vague religious undertones, that country music vibe. It's easy to fall in love with Meant to Be. But, as often happens when we fall in love, a closer look at the object of our affection reveals that it's not as perfect as we thought. Some irksome quality comes to the fore until we realize, I can do better. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's meet back here in 10 seconds. Go! Start with some positives, beginning with how well the opening lines set the scene. Baby, lay on back and relax. Kick your pretty feet up on my dash. With that invitation to put her feet up on the dashboard, right away we know where we are. We're in a car. You know, many songs don't have a physical setting at all. So when we do have one, we want to ask why. Sometimes the purpose of a physical setting is to help tell the story. For example, the story of Paul Simon running into his ex takes place on the street. I met my old lover on the street last night. Or the side of the road is where Billy Currington finds the love of his life. I was sitting there selling turnips on a flatbed truck, crunching on a pork rind when she pulled up. That was good. Or the story of Magic's lead singer getting ready to approach his girlfriend's dad begins with the singer getting dressed in his own bedroom. Saturday morning, jumped out of bed, put on my best suit. Other times the setting has less to do with telling a story and more with helping to establish something about the singer's state of mind, often that the singer is lost in some way. Effectively, Don Henley on a dark desert highway and Kenny Rogers on a train bound for nowhere are no different than Dante Alighieri lost in the woods. Nel mezzo del cammin di nostra vita. So good, that Dante is so good. Here, setting Meant to Be inside a car tells us a lot about the man and the woman because their positions within the car turn out to be one big metaphor for the state of their relationship. He's in the driver's seat trying to go somewhere and she's in the passenger seat being asked to relax, recline, and just go along for the ride wherever he wants to take her. That question of will she or won't she go along for the ride is at the heart of the song, and it's introduced subtly and effectively in those very first lines with the physical setting. Another great thing this song does is effortlessly shift between what I'll call the local and the global. In the beginning, we're hearing about a guy and a girl and him asking to put her feet up in the car, and we don't necessarily think this song is about us. But playing off the car setting, we then move into the broader question of who knows where this road is supposed to lead. Who knows where this road is supposed to lead? That feeling of not knowing where fate is taking us is universal, and it gives us the opportunity to say, oh, this song isn't just about them, it's also about me. The same thing happens in the chorus. He may be talking about their relationship, but when we sing along with if it's meant to be, it'll be, we're not talking about the girl in the car, we're talking about our own lives. The song works simultaneously on both levels, which is part of the fun and an expert move. One day we'll devote a whole episode just to that phenomenon. Finally, the chorus is catchy as all get out, thanks to those 3 high notes. If it's meant to be, it'll be, it'll be. What's so good about those notes? Well, for one, they're high. They stand out from the rest of the melody, and that makes them sound important. Another thing, maybe it's the rule of 3, but there's something very satisfying about launching up to the same high note 3 times in a row, each time attached to the same word. Further, we're making good use of those high notes by linking them not just to any word, but to a word in the title. Since the title is usually the most important phrase in the song, we're linking our most important notes with our most important words. Lastly, the rhythm is one of the most powerful rhythms in music, and it's one we talked about back in episode 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Remember? I used to believe. Here it's nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. If it's meant to be, it'll be, it'll be. But there it is, that powerful rhythm working its magic. Taken together, these things all help to create a chorus that works really well. What do you see? There's nothing over there. But there is a real problem with this song, and it all stems from something that happens at the end of verse 2. Here's the context. In verse 1, the man says to the woman, hey, relax, let's see where this road takes us. And in verse 2, the woman says, no, I'm not just gonna see where this road takes us because I've been down this road before. I've been hurt in the past and I need to know that you're for real before we go forward.
But my heart's been hurt a couple times, boy, maybe
This moment of a woman resisting pressure from the man and expressing concerns on the brink of a major step in the relationship is the subject of some pretty amazing songs. Just a few examples: Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow?
Tonight, the light of love is in your eyes. But will you love me tomorrow?
Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Now, brother, I gotta know right now, before we go any further, do you love me? Will you love me forever? Do you need me?
And more recently, The Fighter by Keith Urban, which is really right on the nose because just like in Meant to Be, we talk about how the woman has been hurt in the past.
I know we hurt you, made you scared of love, too scared to love.
When those concerns are expressed, it's interesting to see how the man in the song responds. In Carole King's number, the man doesn't say anything because it's not a duet, so we're kind of just left to wonder. Meatloaf, of course, promises to love her to the end of time, even though he comes to regret it pretty quickly.
I swear to my God and on my mother's grave that I would love you till the end of time. I swore I would love you till the end of time. So now I'm praying for the end of time.
I think we got a little too into that one. And in The Fighter, Keith Urban promises Carrie Underwood that he's different from her old lover. Unlike that guy, I'll never let you fall, I'll never make you cry.
What if I fall?
I won't let you fall.
What if I cry?
I'll never make you cry.
Now, in Meant to Be, we have the same familiar setup. The woman says, hold it, put on the brakes, I've been hurt in the past, show me you're for real, baby, make me believe. The gauntlet has been thrown. How does he respond?
I'm tired of the fake love. Show me what you're made of. Boy, make me believe.
Whoa, hold up, girl, don't you know you're beautiful? And it's easy to see.
If it's meant to be.
Would you excuse me for a moment? That's all you got? You're beautiful and who knows what's gonna happen? Really? She just shared her pain with you and you think the magic words are, shh, you're so pretty. Compared to Keith Urban, this guy is a real loser, and I would strongly encourage BeBe to get out of the car and look for better. Let's also notice that he cuts her off. This guy has had 16 full bars in the verse, plus the first chorus. Now she gets 12 bars in, and it's, hold up, girl. So on top of not even trying to make her believe, he's kind of rude, and doesn't want to hear, let alone validate her concerns. All of that has the effect of making this otherwise cool country dude with a good voice in an automobile sound really unlikable and immature. And that's a big problem. Now that we know he's either unwilling or unable to rise to the occasion, it colors the whole song. Suddenly there's something evasive about this guy saying, if it's meant to be, it'll be. It sounds less like a declaration of faith in the controlling hand of fate, and more like a catchy excuse for being lazy and uncaring. If it's meant to be, it'll be also begins to sound disingenuous because we don't for a minute believe that this guy's attitude is, hey, if it happens, it happens. This guy's saying if it's meant to be, it'll be, but the song makes clear that he doesn't mean it. What he means is, hey, just do what I want and don't put up any roadblocks. Confronted with a totally normal request to recognize and respond to her vulnerability, this guy is attempting to manipulate her into submission by hiding behind a mantra of que sera, sera. Like, shame on you! Finally, this is 2018. I get that it feels really good to throw your hands up, abdicate all responsibility, and just leave it to fate. But unless you're living under a rock, you know that we're living in a time of heightened engagement, heightened responsibility, of speaking up and speaking out. The last thing in the world we need right now is an anthem to laissez-faire. Read the room, BeBe. I guess the real reason I'm upset is I wonder if the songwriters even know they sabotaged their song. I can see them writing it. They've got the boy make me believe line and they've got to fill in something to get to the chorus. So they come up with hold up girl, don't you know you're beautiful? And it sounds good, so they plug it in and call it a day. But they don't stop to ask if it's the right line, if it changes the fundamental character of one of the two singers and therefore the tone and meaning of the whole song. As a result, we're left with a song that seems to unintentionally derail right in the middle. Big picture, Meant to Be is really fun to sing, but my fellow APST enthusiasts, don't believe it's a declaration of faith and don't believe it's a declaration of love because it's neither. And that's really disappointing because from the songwriter's perspective, I feel like it was meant to be both. What do you think? Let's talk, leave it in the comments. Teddy and I would love to hear from you. Next week, some redemption with Zed, Maris, Morris, and Gray's The Middle. A lot of good stuff going on there. Plus, by then, I'll have gotten my haircut. See you next week! And don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing makes you feel good inside, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel.